headquarters in San Francisco, and what I'd like to do for the next few minutes is have some fun. I think I have the best job at Visa because we are the world's payment company. We operate in over 200 countries around the world. There are over 3.3 billion Visa cards. And by the way, there are less than 8 billion people in the world, so about half the people in the world have one. So what I wanted to share with you is nothing really about Visa, but how we see the world changing and how you might want to think about it. So I'm going to rapid fire go through a bunch of examples of things we see changing in the world and what you can expect, how that will change how you experience the world. So let's jump in. So what you may not know is Visa started in the 50s, and it was a way to just pay for things. Great. But here's what it's become. How do you pay for things? Today, it's not, we refer to it as post-plastic, right? The plastic card that you know and love will go away. And payments are being embedded into everything in your life. So let me give you, I'll show a quick video and see how many different things and how they pay for things.
Alexa.
Great. So, in spite of the fact that the video was a little corrupted, what you saw in that was you never saw a card. What you saw was a car that paid for something. You saw a phone that paid for something. You saw an Alexa device that paid for something. Right? You saw a wearable that paid for something. You saw in virtual reality people will be able to buy things. So here's, from the consumer perspective, what you will see changing. It's three big things. Number one, payments will be all digital. Right? So the best example everyone uses is Uber. What is your payment experience in Uber? You get into a car, you go somewhere, you get out. You never pull out a card, it just happens, right? So that will happen everywhere. Number two, those payment experiences will be personalized to you, and they'll be much more engaging. So everything from the loyalty and offers that you see to gamification of payments. So if you go to China, you'll see all these amazing things that are happening in WeChat or Alipay, where as you buy things, you'll get digital chickens, or you'll grow trees, and over time, if you get enough trees, then they actually plant a real tree in China. So there are all these neat things happening. And then third is you, as a consumer, will have complete control over how you pay and the way that you pay. So after the fact, you may be able to change and say, I don't want to pay for that all now. I want it to be installments over the next 12 months. So those are the three big trends. So what I'd like to do is show you examples that we see around the world that we just find interesting. So let's jump in a little bit. So retail is this thing that's changing so fast. So this is where we start to have fun. Let me show you some examples. How many people can relate to this? Waiting in a line. I always feel like the guy on the far end that looks like he's with the Backstreet Boys. So they're just bored. But that's the past. This is not at all what the future is going to be. The idea that people will queue to pay for things will be a thing of the past. Let me show you some examples. These are the 5 trends in retail. These are our words. That transactions will be everywhere, like we showed in the video. The actual physical locations are going to transform in some really fun ways. There is no such thing as channels anymore. There's just a consumer journey. Sometimes they're online, sometimes it's mobile, sometimes it's in person. If you're thinking about channels, you're wrong. It's all channels all the time. Fourth, the role of staff in retail environments is radically changing. We have some great examples of that. And then 5, the way people experience your product or service and that mode of distribution is changing, and there's some great examples too. So let me show you those. Physical space is reborn. Here's some examples. If any of you have been to New York City recently, this is Sonos, right, the music speaker company. They created these new spaces where you could go and experience in different environments. So each one of those little areas is a different room of your house. And you can go to the different rooms and say, here's what it feels like in the kitchen. Here's what it sounds like in the bedroom. Here's what it sounds like in the living room. And what's fascinating about this is when we've talked to Sonos, you can go try and you could buy a Sonos system there. But the reason why they did this is they found when people can come and experience it, then their online sales increase by 30% by creating a physical location. So again, no channels. Don't think about, oh gosh, are we making enough money in this physical space? They're creating experiences that then customers can then go and then buy things online. Casper is a mattress company. Again, they created an experience. So this is a big truck, and they take these around to music festivals, and then in between the different bands that are playing, people can go and take 15-minute naps. And in doing so, they get to try this mattress, and you can't buy the mattress there, but afterwards, they find that their online sales go through the roof. This is an interesting example in the UK. Gap paired up with Virgin Hotels. And so if you were traveling to London and you realized you forgot some clothes that you needed, you can go, order the clothes. Gap delivers those clothes to your hotel. They're in your closet in different sizes. You take the ones you want, and you leave the rest, and they just charge you later. Sephora is a leading makeup company. They use augmented reality in their stores. Apparently, I learned this. If you're a woman or a man and you want to try makeup on, it's hard because you can really only do it once, right? Once you put it on, you have to take it off and put it on again. It's not the same experience. So when you're going to try real makeup, you want to make sure it's one you really want to try. So at this mirror, you go and you can try different types of makeup, and when you find the one you really want, then you get to try that. If anyone visits our innovation center, Visa's Innovation Center in Berlin, we have a prototype of this, and so I was there just a few weeks ago. So if you follow me on Twitter, you can see pictures of me wearing makeup that I used this. My children were appalled. Kellogg's, the cereal company, they created a location in Manhattan, so when they launch new products, people can come and try that product. And they do cooking classes, how to make Rice Krispies in some special way that kids will love. And then here's the fascinating thing. The new badge of success in retail is not that you're a great online company. When you're a great online company, your badge of success is that you now open a retail store. So there's a whole series of companies like Everlane, like Warby Parker for the glasses. And what they've done, they've been so successful, but they find they are now opening retail locations. By the way, Amazon just bought Whole Foods, 460 retail locations. They also have Amazon bookstores in the real world. So it shows you that this blurring of channels is just happening. And here's why. It's humans. It's this. What is it in the real world that you can get? What you get is the ability to feel something, to try something on, to be there with your friend and say, does this look good on me? To ask the salesperson, what do you think of this versus this other thing, and to compare. And so there are benefits that you can only get in the real world, and that's why if you read the headline that says there's a retail apocalypse, they're all doomed, they're wrong. Retail is changing, and what we say is that bad retail is doomed, but experiential retail is the future. So that's number one. Let's show you some other fun things. So all channels get connected. I love this example. This is a store in a chain in Brazil called C&A. I don't know if many of you know it. But what's one of the things that you get as a benefit when you shop online? So you go online and you see these different things, and then online you can do reviews. And so you can look, if you're looking at A, B, and C, but A, 97% of people said thumbs up on this one, and nobody said thumbs up on item C. Which one would you buy? Item A. How does that work in the real world? Well, CNA took their online reviews and they translate those in real time, so those hangers actually show a number of how many customers bought it and gave it a positive review. And so in the real world, you can now look and tell what people like and what they don't like. Another thing, what happens in the online world that's really good we'd like to have in the offline world? Cookies. As a retailer, you'd like to understand what are people looking at, and then did they buy it or not? So this is a company that they've created these iPads that as you go through the store, if you want more information on something, you use your iPhone, and it will send you everything you need to know about that. And in the process, it is effectively a real-world cookie, and they can tell ultimately if you bought that thing or not. This is a fascinating one. Target stores, the big chain based up in Minneapolis, they started an initiative to add eco lighting in their stores. They were going to replace all of the lighting in their stores with more energy-efficient light bulbs. And in the process, they decided to add beacons. So if you go into a Target store and you have the Target app, it can tell you how to find anything that you want. And it locates you in the store and will direct you to where in that store you can find, in this case, some crayons. Right? And in doing so, they can now track you to see where you stop, what do you look at, what do you buy. I threw up this example. This is sort of fun. This is an exercise club. And typically they're just playing with different things to see what works. Typically, you would say, what class is available at 9 a.m.? What they did is they said, well, people are humans, they have emotions, and often when you're looking to work out, what you actually want is some outcome. So this asks things like, I want to feel energized. And then using that sort of language, it will direct you to the class at the time that's near you that will give you energy. This is the Sam's Club, which is part of Walmart. Their app, which is doing quite well. And then this is Amazon Go, which you probably read about. Both of those are what they call just pick it up, like walk out technology. So you may have seen the videos. The way it works, you walk into the store, it uses computer vision and sensors, it notices what you pick up, and you walk out of the store, and it just charges your card that's on file. That's it. Like, there is no checkout line. So that picture we showed of the guy that's all bummed out, like, it's not going to happen in the future. There will not be long checkout lines, because the combination of biometrics, geolocation, secure card on file, it will all just happen. So those are some channel examples. Let's talk about staff. This is one of my favorite ones. By the way, see if this is true with you. When we did research in North America, we asked customers about their experience going to stores, what they like, what they don't like, and 71% of consumers said when they walk into a store, they think that they know more about what's in that store than the people working in the store. Can anyone relate to that? Yeah. 71% thinks they know, and it's because they went online, they did the research, and they went to that store because the online site told them they had this product at this price, and it's of this size and these specs. So there's different models playing out with staff. Staff really have to be educated to really know your product and service. So this is a makeup company called Glossier. And you can go online, you find everything that you want, but when you go to the store, they actually have nothing on the shelves except testers. And you are forced to interact with their sales associate who's been trained to make sure the thing you're buying is the right product for you. And you see her holding up a piece of paper because you're marking off the things you want, and then she will go get it for you and talk to you about those products. Very high touch. This is a Samsung store in New York. You can't buy anything. No sales, just experience. You can walk in, you get to try the latest virtual reality, you walk out. That's it. Hemster is a clothing service. I won't spend time on that, but Farfetch is a London-based AI, computer vision. They create operating systems for retail environments. So what was the movie Minority Report, where Tom Cruise walks in and then it says, oh, welcome back, Mr. Cruise. Did you like those pants you bought? They build the technology. And so if you walk into a London boutique that uses their technology, it uses facial recognition to know who you are, and then it sends your customer information to the sales associate, who can then walk up and say, oh, welcome back, Mr. Jamison. And they already know your size, they know what you like, they know what your purchase history is. This is Lowe's, the big home retailer. And what they found is that there's a huge benefit to focusing on returns. So typically retailers are all worried about selling new things, but Lowe's found that if you show everything that customer has bought over time and you make it easy for them to return things, they actually buy more. Distribution. You may have seen these, right? These places where you can go pick up things securely. This whole notion of pop-ups, things in trucks that just go around to show your goods and services, huge thing. The other big thing, and this is happening all over, is automated retail. So the two on the right are companies where there are no staff in the store. So if you come visit us in San Francisco, the one on the right is a restaurant. It's called Eatsa, E-A-T-S-A. You order online or through a mobile app. It will tell you which box to go to, and you go and you pay through your mobile app. You just go pick it up and you walk out. It gives you a code to unlock your box. People come from all over the world. It's literally 1 block from our office, and we go there for lunch. Like, that's the future. There are no people. It's all through tech. Okay, so everything I've talked about to this point was from the consumer back. Right? You as a consumer, it's all going to be digital. It's going to have all these great engaging experiences. And here's how you'll experience those things in retail environments that are changing. So, full stop. Now let's switch and say, if you're the world's largest payment company, how do you build the tech that enables that? So here's our 5 things that you should remember. So, the tech that will power all that will be powered by AI. The AI will run on rich data sets. 3, it will be designed and built by millennials using their mindset. Number 4, the tech will be distributed through big technology platforms. Think Apple, Facebook, Google. Number 5 is it will be more secure than ever because the standards and the hardening of the technology around biometrics are here. It actually has been enterprise class for a while, but people were kind of freaked out about it until Apple did the pay by touch. And now you can pay with your face, right? And what it does, actually, it uses 30,000 points on your face. It uses infrared light to map your face to know that that's really you, right? A fingerprint has a 1 in 5,000 false positive rate. A retinal scan is 1 in 50,000. So think about if you walk into a store or some environment, let's say it's a bank, you identify yourself through a retinal scan, and then as part of that, they ping your phone and say, where's Mark's phone? Geolocation, Mark is in the bank. They're pretty sure that that's Mark if they have the retinal scan and a geolocation. All right, now let me show you talk about these 5 things. If you take this framework that says this AI thing can be really proactive or reactive, and it can interpret what I want it to do, or I have to be very literal. So people say what they want is this partner that can really understand what they want before they even articulate it. Now that doesn't exist today, but it's getting there. It's more like this, like you kind of have an assistant that knows what sort of coffee you like, or a project manager who sort of makes the trains run on time at work. Now the reality is actually this. Today it's like an intern. You really have to say, no, at 9 a.m. I would like my cafe con leche this way, and you have to say that every day. Right? So we're still early stages. But here's one of the cool things. So in the past, when you had to learn technology, you had to learn how to use the technology. You had to learn what is an operating system, how do you boot it up, what's your password, how do you use this app? Well, guess what? We were created as humans to communicate through voice. here's what voice looks like. All that complexity is gone. You just say the thing, and it can hear you, understand you, and translate that. Now, here's the phenomenon that's happening, and when we did this research, it was fascinating to me. If you drew a bell curve of humanity based on age, and you were to say, who's adopting this technology, we would all go, oh yeah, all the young kids. Like my children, they just assume it can do everything. Right? They say, hey Alexa, tell me a joke. Hey, we have to unplug Alexa after dinner time because otherwise they won't do their homework because they'll say, what's 7 times 20, 21, right? So I think that's not surprising that the younger generation, let's say millennial and before that, assumes that AI will work and they'll use it. The fascinating thing is the opposite. There's an explosion of usage at the high end. So retirees are embracing AI and voice AI in a way that we've never seen. And it's because of this. How many people know the experience of the grandparents says, I'm trying to learn the computer. I want to use email to communicate. I use Facebook to see pictures of my grandchildren. But they always have problems, and so they call up and they call their grandchild because their grandchild is their technical support, right? Hey, how do I see this thing? Well, guess what? With voice AI, they don't need that anymore. The AI becomes their technical support. So my mother, who's 74, now just says, hey Alexa, or hey Siri, FaceTime Mark. She doesn't have to learn a menu. She doesn't have to learn anything. She just says it FaceTimes Mark, and then we do a FaceTime session with me, my wife, my kids, and it all just works. So it abstracts all of the complexity that technology often has. So one of the great insights of why AI is going to take off is exactly this. Here's another great insight into how AI is starting to play out. When we do research, we find that there's the functional ability to hear language, convert it, and do the right thing. But what humans actually want, they want a human-like interaction. And so when we really have done deep research, what they say is they want two things. One, that's supposed to be Warren Buffett. They want this wise, sage person who will give them the best advice, but they also want fairy godmother, someone who will just kind of make it all happen. And so you have to design your interaction through voice experiences or through a chatbot to be this combination of wise but yet fun and human. And so we've seen some different examples of that. Actually, before I go to this, so there's an entire field that's being developed, which is AI design. And it tends to be people who come from a language background or from anthropology, because the design of the personality of this AI thing really, really matters. So at Capital One of the big US banks, they created a chatbot called Eno, E-N-O, which is one spelled backwards. And Eno is a woman, and she's a little quirky. And they've designed her to be quirky. And what they've said is that initially, like in the first week of interactions with customers, the number one question is, are you a real person or are you a robot? That's their number one question. Number two question, tell me a joke. So people are just, they want it to be more human, and they're trying to tease out how they get that. So here's also how we think about it. So these voice devices, then there are these apps, these messaging platforms, and they're playing out different ways. So voice will play out, for example, in your home. You'll be in your kitchen and you can just yell out, hey, I need more milk and eggs, and magically they just show up the next day. But it really is meant for more private spaces. So you could sit in this room and you're not going to use a voice assistant, right? But you probably could use a messaging app and interact with it because it's more private. But in your home, in your car, and perhaps in the office, like voice will be the next gateway to the internet. Here's the last point on this is, unlike every other technology that's sort of hit, AI is different. AI requires, it's a learning technology that gets better over time. So what is it, the fuel it needs to get better is it needs data. It needs more iterations. It needs more interactions. And so if at first you start to play with this technology and you find it's a little clunky, it's a little slow, it doesn't answer the right question, it's building up the data and the experience to learn what's right and what doesn't work. And so unlike other technologies where you build it, you harden it, and then you finally release it, right? You go from a development environment to a QA environment to a production environment. What you need to do is actually change your processes and go, we're just go straight to production with this, because the companies that are going to win are the ones that get the data and are able to learn on that data the fastest. So unlike other tech, this is a totally different way of going after it. The last thing, and this is super exciting, the bad guys are going to lose. What we found with for in-person retail, chip technology drops fraud by 75%. Empirically, it happens everywhere in the world. So where do the bad guys go? They go online. Right? It's mobile, they're hacking, they're doing all this stuff. Well, guess what? Biometrics will be chip for the new world. We support 5 different biometric standards that for authentication. So it's fingerprint, palm print, retinal scan, facial recognition, and voice. And by using the things that are unique to you in a secure, private way, like the ability to secure transactions so the bad guys lose has never been stronger. It's a really, really important thing for our industry, particularly for banks, to get right, because it will transform the way commerce can happen securely so people have confidence to make sure that it will all be good. So, to arc back to the end, that was how we will build the tech that enables this next generation of commerce. But from the consumer perspective, here's what it means. 3 things. Everything becomes digital. Everything becomes a payment device. Number 2, your experience will be personalized, meaning authenticated to you. And number 3, like you'll have control and choice, the ability to turn on or off your card, deploy your payment credentials wherever you want. And in that world, it becomes a really, really fun place to be in commerce. I hope you found this helpful. It was super fun for me. Thank you. Yep.